I'm the Residential and Consumer Horticulture Extension Specialist, and I also am the Master Gardener Coordinator for the state of Tennessee. So what that really means is I get to work in research and teaching extension outreach in all areas of home horticulture, residential lawns, landscapes, and vegetable gardens, as well as working with our Master Gardener volunteers who do great teaching and service and outreach across our entire state. My background is in vegetable production. So the opportunity that I have here with my job at UT is I get to work with vegetable gardeners across the state. And so teaching, but also research, both on our research stations like this one, as well as with citizen science projects with gardeners all over the state. So our citizen science project is the Home Garden Variety Trial. And really the premise is it's important for researchers to do replicated studies on research stations, but we can't do that in a way that represents what everybody's growing climate is across a very diverse state like Tennessee. So then we combine what we do on our research stations with gardeners who are growing the same varieties in their backyard gardens across Tennessee and then sending us back in that data. And it helps us be able to recommend great cultivars that perform well in our climate for home gardeners across the state. So we're here at the Fall Gardeners Festival, which is one of our favorite examples of the collaboration between extension and master gardeners and agricultural research that takes place at UTIA. So we're at what we call a research and education center, where a lot of everything from animal to row crop to vegetable research takes place here. But also here on this site, the master gardeners over the past 15 years or so have installed and led and invested in a fabulous demonstration garden here. And because we have this great facility and a dedicated group of volunteers who work with their county extension and with the research personnel here on this station, we have the opportunity to have these great educational field days. So this is free and open to the public, and all throughout the entire day there are great educational presentations, everything from hydrangeas and ornamentals to hearing about the vegetable trials, straw bale gardening, tomatoes, turf. Some are taught by our great volunteers, some are taught by extension specialists and personnel from extension or research. And so that's really the point of our research and education centers and of our Master Gardener program, to touch people in communities with great educational opportunities. All of the state has great pluses for home gardeners, but there are certain crops that grow better in different seasons and different parts of the state. So one of the advantages of the Upper Cumberland is that it tends to be one of our cooler growing regions. And so, to take right now for instance, my tomatoes in Knoxville are really on the decline. It's been a hot summer and my productivity is going down. Whereas here on the Upper Cumberland, it's been a little bit cooler, the plants may have gotten started later, so their warm season crops may produce a little bit later into the summer than they would in the valley or in middle or west Tennessee. So it's not a better or worse, but it's about being able to take advantage of the assets of different climates. It's true for vegetables, it's true for fruit crops, right? Different types of blueberries, say, might grow better in West Tennessee versus East Tennessee, but we might be able to grow some things here on the Upper Cumberland that wouldn't do well in the warmer parts of our state. So it's really all about matching to get the advantage. Over the last 10 or 15 years, homeowners have a much wider slate of organic materials to use because as commercial organic production has moved forward, a lot of those materials become available for home gardeners. So we have a wider range of fertilizer materials, right? It used to be really hard to find a complete organic fertilizer, and by complete I mean having N, P, and K, right? So fertilizer materials are easier to get a hold of. Sometimes they're now a little bit easier to find in more soluble forms, so you might be able to dissolve them or put them through your drip irrigation. So that can be an asset, as well as the traditional materials like bone meal, blood meal, the composts that have worked well for organic gardeners for years. The other asset is that when it comes to disease and insect management, there are a lot of new materials that are available. So we have a lot of biological materials like bacterial products that are naturally derived that can be great for caterpillar, right? For tomato hornworm, one of our favorites, for yellow striped armyworm, a lot of those types of pests. And so We also have biological materials that can be good for disease control, especially preventive. When it comes to organic management, and conventional organic management for that matter, for home gardeners, we want to focus on applying materials before we see widespread disease issue, because they're going to be more effective to prevent infection than they are curatively. So those are a lot of the publications that we have available for home gardeners through Extension, as well as a lot of the presentations that we do at locations just like here at the Plateau Discovery Gardens. One of the great things that we really see a lot more in home gardening, whether it be for landscapes or for vegetable gardens, is that we're a lot more conscious of our water and soil stewardship. And those often, they come together, right? So how we protect our soil surfaces to prevent erosion can also be how we allow better water infiltration into our soil. But what we're seeing a lot of are rain barrels and water capture. So it provides small-scale homeowners the opportunity to collect water from rooftops or from other locations, and then even apply it as drip irrigation on their garden. In terms of soil management, this is an area where gardeners right now, and it's exciting to see, are using a lot of different methods that in many ways are kind of scaled down versions of what our commercial producers would use. So the traditional method would be to use tillage in the spring and oftentimes in the fall. Some of the other exciting techniques that we're seeing more commonly for home gardeners is to use lower till methods, right? So our commercial row crop producers have been doing no-till production for corn and soybeans and other crops in Tennessee for decades. And now we see some of those techniques being replicated on a smaller scale in the home garden. And so there can be benefits to not tilling up the soil, because you retain that soil structure, which allows water to infiltrate. You allow the microbial communities to aggregate those soil particles, fungi and some of those soil microbes. And it can also prevent loss of organic matter, because when we till, then that exposes that organic matter to loss. So we're seeing both stewardship using traditional methods, cover crops, but we're also seeing stewardship using newer no-till methods. So those can all be tailored to the site, to the gardener, to the machinery that they have and what works for them. There are lots of great crops that can work well for beginner gardeners. If you're growing in a container or if you're growing in a raised bed, there are lots of compact cucumbers and peppers that can really work well for you. We have a lot of information on those cultivars and how to grow those resources on our horticulture website, which is uthort.com, and you can find lots of those great resources that can fit a wide range of gardeners at different scales. So what I generally try to say to early stage home gardeners is start small. Don't get overwhelmed. Build yourself a 4x4 or 4x8 raised bed and enjoy it. Plant some compact tomatoes or peppers for the summer. Put in some cabbage or kale or spinach for the fall, and just experiment with a few things to get your feet wet. Read some resources, learn a little bit about the options, and find out what works for you.